Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 370. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How about you?
Yeah, it's all right.
Good. Now, this week on the show, we'll be reviewing Shannon Murphy's Babyteeth. We'll also be going over some we're watching on the watch list and new releases on VOD and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. No housekeeping to go over this week. I think we can just safely jump into our review. Again, we're talking about Babyteeth. I have a synopsis here. Milla, a seriously ill teenager, falls in love with a drug dealer, Moses, her parents' worst nightmare.
Oh, boy.
So we have a review for this up on the site. Chris reviewed this one for us. He gave it a 9 out of 10. So there was some pretty lofty expectations here for this movie. It also features Ben Mendelsohn, which I know both you and I are fans of Mendelsohn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so yeah, I thought, well, why not? Why not give this a look? There weren't too many other options for this week, so we decided on Babyteeth. And I gotta say, after watching it, what's the big effing deal with this movie?
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Because one of the reasons I picked this movie is for like a week leading up to this. I mean, I'm seeing Babyteeth everywhere. Babyteeth, great movie. Oh my God, you guys see Babyteeth. One of the best movies of the year. Incredible. I'm like, oh, Ben Mendelsohn, Essie Davis. Okay, this sounds intriguing. I'm not really. I wasn't drawn in by like the synopsis or anything, but I was like, all right, everyone's saying good things. And then I'm a lot like you, because I honestly stopped this almost halfway through because I just couldn't take it anymore.
I gave this a look yesterday, and I actually had to take a break midway and come back to it later because I was just not into it. I think what it boils down to is this is just nothing new. Like, we've seen this so many times before. There's been so many of these love stories involving someone with a terminal illness. And yeah. I know that I'm like terribly cynical, and I know that a lot of these movies that strike an emotional chord don't seem to affect me in the same way. And oftentimes movies that aren't intended to strike an emotional chord do for me. So I know that I'm really weird when it comes to how movies affect me in an emotional way, but I just was not very emotionally invested in this movie and the characters. I just was not into it.
Yeah, and that was another thing that like really surprised me, because like I said, when I stopped it, right, and I was just like, I'm so confused, because I'm thinking the same thing as you are. I'm like, this feels extremely familiar. It just feels like a rehash of like every, movie that we've seen with, a teenager going through cancer. So, I hop on the internet, fire up the old internet machine, and I'm looking on Letterboxd and stuff, and everyone loves it and is praising it pretty much. Like, that's all I'm seeing. And I'm still just extremely confused. And it seems, I guess this is just one of those movies, because there seems to be, like one or two movies every year that are just, just universally praised for the most part. And I'm just left just sitting dumbfounded as to what am I missing? Like, you go on IMDb and there's the trailer, right? And it has an excerpt here from Variety. It says, wickedly perverse. In what way? And then embracing blast of air. I don't, like, this is nothing new at all.
Yeah, like,
it's not that perverse.
What was perverse about it? Like, what was wicked or perverse about it? Like, there was nothing edgy in this. It was a pretty straightforward love story. I mean, maybe the weird thing is the fact that she was like 16 and he was 23 or whatever.
Which is that didn't help. That, like, me and this movie got off on the wrong foot, like right off the bat. because he shows up and I'm like, wait, this is the glove hanger? Like, she's way too young. This is creepy. I don't like it.
Yeah. It was creepy. It was inappropriate. I wouldn't necessarily call it perverse at all. And like,
no.
There were so many parts of this that felt just so cliched to me, and I think maybe it does resonate with people, and they see this as a touching story, but for me, it wasn't. Like, I just wasn't. I think maybe part of that was the fact that I just wasn't very invested in these characters. I liked the characters. I thought that the performances were quite good. I mean, Ben Mendelsohn was great. Eliza Scanlon, who plays the main character, Milla, she was very good. Same with Essie Davis and Toby Wallace, the dude who played Moses. I thought that they were all very good. But the material here was just not something that was necessarily grabbing me.
No. And and not only being, a rehash of plenty of other movies, so much to the point that, like, you know everything, like, from the outset. You know exactly how this is all going to play out, and it does. Like, it follows the beats exactly how you would expect them to. There's these unnecessary, almost forced, like, quirky things that just feel completely out of place. Like, there's a bunch of puzzle pieces here that don't fit together. Like, I don't understand anything, or the inclusion of the neighbor Toby, the pregnant neighbor, played by Emily Barclay, with her dog. Like, that pretty much went nowhere.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on that. Like, it felt really strange and unnecessary, and there was this subplot involving the marriage, her parents' marriage, and how that seemed to be sort of shaky, and then the introduction of the neighbor. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, clearly there's going to be something happening here between Ben Mendelsohn and the neighbor. It seems pretty obvious. And just the way that everything plays out is it's very telegraphed. Like, you know exactly where this is all going to go. It seems fairly obvious from the onset.
And then there's just some other things that are just, like, the kid, Tinwa. Who the fuck is he? And, like, who is he?
It's
like, where's his parents?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
He's just a kid that's there, apparently.
I was just so confused. I don't know why, like, that was a thing.
I wasn't a fan of the, like, chapter titles or whatever.
No.
Either, because they felt really inconsistent, and they bothered me.
And a lot of times it was just like a title that told you what you immediately saw.
Yeah.
So there's really no point to them, other than, like, oh, look at this nice font and color.
And I'm probably mistaken on this, but as I was watching it, one of the titles was called Romance Part 2, and I didn't recall a Romance Part 1. And I'm like, did they just have a Part 2 without a Part 1? I'm sure I'm mistaken on that, but
you might not be, though. You might not be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Tinwa. No one knows who Tinwa is and why he's here, unless I missed something completely with Tinwa. Because I was so confused by her, because he shows up at the birthday party at the end, and I'm like, where's this kid's parents?
Well,
like, was Gideon his dad? But it didn't seem like it.
Wait, was that Tinwa at the end? I thought that was Isaac at the party at the end.
Tinwa and Isaac were there, weren't they?
Yeah, you're right.
Which is also, it made me think that those scenes weren't real, because the thing with Isaac, Moses' little brother, it went from, like, he can't see him at all, can't be around him, to all of a sudden Isaac is in Moses' care alone,
right,
at the beach and at a birthday party, which seems completely not going to happen.
And they make it seem like a significant amount of time has passed, but it really hasn't. So that was another thing that I found to be kind of odd about this, is that the transitions between, like, major sequences felt like, oh, well, this is like months later, but it really wasn't. Like you would still see
No.
like if Moses got injured in one scene, the next sequence he would still have those like cuts and bruises, but it would feel like it was a long time later because it seems like the major conflicts that occurred in that sequence have now been wrapped up nicely and everybody's, friends with one another again, but he still has those like cuts and bruises. So the amount of time has been maybe days or at most like a week, and yet like they're all friends again. So it's really inconsistent, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean the visual storytelling in that regard is pretty poor, and just a lot of the things just it feels like they're not connected. Like her decision at the end, the the task that she asked Moses to accomplish just seems completely out of place. It felt like a completely different movie. I know you do have like at the beginning, you know that she is, what she was contemplating from the very outset, like when we first meet her. So we know that's a part of her, and that's in her mindset. But it just for her to bring him in when she knows that he has his own things that he's dealing with, and I just don't understand why she would put that on him.
Yeah, it seemed really uncharacteristic, and especially because things were going good, between the relationship between her and her parents and her and Moses, and even Moses and her parents. It seemed kind of like it was a little bit out of nowhere
For the run time. I mean, and all these relationships, but it didn't feel like there was that much development. It didn't feel like there was that much of a journey with these characters over the course of 2 hours.
No, I completely agree.
It feels like I just got kind of the base points, and then we just kept hitting those base points over and over again until the end.
Yeah. Now, it might not be a movie suited for me. It might not be a movie that's marketed towards someone like me. I'm not a parent, so I don't necessarily have that connection.
Yeah.
I think that maybe if you are a parent, there's probably a lot more that you can glean from this, especially because I think that it is sort of an interesting dynamic when you have a child who has this life-threatening illness, and you want them to be happy and you want them to be comfortable, and you're willing to go to some lengths that you maybe wouldn't otherwise do, like allow them to befriend a drug addict,
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, there was something there with this movie showing the parents sort of making that decision, like, okay, well, this is what truly makes her happy, so let's kind of support this and go along with this, even though it's not a good idea. So I liked that aspect of it. But for me, again, the arc, the development of these characters just didn't really suit that premise.
Yeah, no. And I mean, it just feels, again, not only is it familiar in the sense of like the subject matter here, but also just in terms of filmmaking, it just felt like, every quote unquote indie darling that played like Sundance, or, you know what I mean? Like even the style of it just feels really familiar and well worn. So there wasn't anything that, kind of grabbed my attention or caught me off guard, like visually or even, or editing wise or anything. You know what I mean? Like everything just feels just very plain.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, how many shots do we get of the back of the old nape of the neck? A little bit of a woozy camera.
a little
just a little
woozy.
Swinging a little bit in the breeze, catching that internal struggle on the nape of the neck. I mean, that took up almost like 20 minutes of the movie, I think.
I thought Essie Davis had some pretty good moments in this, though. She was able to really stretch her
Yeah,
acting muscles here and had some really powerful scenes.
but again, her character was kind of like, as soon as you meet her, you're like, oh, she's gonna be the, she's having a tough time, so she's kind of going a little bit overboard with the prescription drugs.
Right, yeah.
It's gonna make her a little flighty.
But they didn't even really do much with that either.
No, they kind of abandoned that, which is good because I was like, I hope that's not.
Oh my god! I just remembered the scene. There's one scene with Ben Mendelsohn. There's like a development with his character, and you're just like, whoa, what?
And it just not.
And they just come up. Yeah, there's this one, like, to me, I found it to be like really jarring. Like, all of a sudden, they're showing Ben Mendelsohn doing this thing, and I'm just like, whoa, what? Wait a minute. And then he brushes it off, and then it's never addressed again for the rest of the movie. And you're just like, okay,
yeah,
okay, that seems like a serious issue that needs to be. There needs to be some sort of resolution to that.
Yeah,
because why would you show that otherwise? I mean,
and it's not even that they showed it; is that there was a title card. So it was like a chapter, even though it was only like 2 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
But they made a title card specifically for that scene.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I'm just not into it.
And not that I wanted you to not like this movie, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted you to enjoy. I want you to enjoy every movie, obviously. But it was oddly comforting to get a text from you that was like, yeah, I don't get this. I'm like, thank God. That's the only one.
Yeah.
So I was so worried that, that this would turn and you would be like, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. Just a tour de force.
Oh, maybe.
And then I would just be even more confused.
Maybe I would have been able to like articulate it and have you understand. But no, I can't do that because frankly, I don't see the appeal of this movie. And maybe it's because I've seen other movies that deal with the same subject matter in a better way. Or just that I've seen other movies that deal with the same subject matter, period.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm not a big fan of any movies that deal with this topic in this specific way where they pull in a romance angle to it.
Well, they always do the romance angle, and then they always do, it's got to be
coming of age.
He's coming of age, and you got to have the comedy in there, which the comedy's always got to be this, I guess what they would call or what they assume to be wickedly perverse. But I'm not sure that those are the right words for it.
No. Oh, yeah.
They always got to throw, like in this, these little quirks.
Mm-hmm.
He's a drug addict. Ain't that funny? His parents are drug addicts too. Is that funny?
Nothing but a bunch of drug addicts in here. All right.
A bunch of drugs.
That's Babyteeth. That is available now on VOD platforms. Kevin, what are you going to give this out of 10?
I feel like my heart is dead. And like I'm just a really cold person. But I like a 4.
Yeah, I'm sitting at around a 4.5 on this one too. Yeah, like that's how I was feeling. Like as I was watching it, I'm like, am I just that cynical where this is not affecting me emotionally? Like I'm not getting choked up or feeling sad. Like I know that's not the case though, because movies and TV do affect me emotionally. And I do tear up and get sad over. I mean, I'm playing a good example. I'm playing The Last of Us 2 right now, and that's like an emotional gut punch over and over again. And I've already gotten emotional a number of times playing through that game. So I know it's not that. I know that I'm not that dead inside.
It's just like another. There's so much time spent on these, these little side like, I don't even know if they're plots really. They're just instances, the happenings. You know, everything with the pregnant neighbor. Like, there's a whole thing where he's like wildly unprofessional. You know, this woman's like crying, and he's just like, hold on,
I gotta change a
on
light bulb.
hold on one second. And he's like, yeah, he runs the whole way to change a light, and you're just like, oh, okay. Like, I understand you're in a really stressful situation, and you know, people deal with things differently. But I don't know what this is. I don't know what to do with this.
Like, you're at work, dude. Like, if
Like,
it's
yeah,
you're doing a disservice to your patients who need you. Like, if you can't perform your job, then you need to take a sabbatical or take some time off. At any rate, that's Babyteeth. That's unfortunately a pass from both of us. However, as we said, a lot of people are this movie is really resonating with them, so you may enjoy it. I guess your mileage may vary on this one.
Yes, definitely.
Let's talk about someone we've been watching. I think it is my turn this week. I saw You Should Have Left. This is directed by David Koepp. This is the new Blumhouse horror movie starring Kevin Bacon and Amanda Seyfried.
Oh.
Yeah. Interestingly, Amanda Seyfried plays Kevin Bacon's wife. Pretty big age gap there. Which it is actually addressed. It's like kind of a big, not a big plot point, but it is a plot point. So the basic premise of this is that Kevin Bacon is married to Amanda Seyfried. They have a child together, and Kevin Bacon's previous wife died in a drowning accident. And Amanda Seyfried she's like a famous actress, and they decide to rent this vacation home in Wales, this really, really cool looking house in Wales. And some weird stuff starts going on in this house. Some creepy house stuff. Like they end up, like, the house is like deceptively large. Like, there's all these different hallways and doors and lights and everything. And then he eventually discovers that the house is like the one room is like 4 inches bigger on the outside than it is, or sorry, on the inside than it is on the outside. So it's like the geometry, the architecture in this home is impossible. And, you know, there's some creepy imagery that starts to happen, and it all stems from like his jealousy and his guilt over the death of his first wife. And did he or did he not have a hand in her death? Guess you'll have to watch the movie to find out, but I don't recommend it because the movie's very bad. It's really bad. And some movies start off okay, and then they just can't stick the landing. And this is an example of that of a movie that cannot stick the landing. Like, this movie just has no idea where it's going. And when it finally reaches its conclusion, you're just like, oh, that's it? Like, this is what this has led up to? Like, there's no big reveals or anything like that. There's no resolution. It's just sort of, he's just like, oh, this is how it is. And then that's it. It's over. And nothing about it is particularly scary. The only thing that I can say about it that I really enjoyed was the house. Like, the house was really cool looking. It has this sort of very minimalist sort of Scandinavian look to it, and I really like that design style. So the house was dope. The rest of the movie was pretty much a train wreck.
Wow. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, skip it.
You can bypass that one, because I was like just mildly interested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, it's recognizable people. It sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a thing. It could be a sleeper hit.
Could be, but it wasn't.
But looks like you're just better off looking up real estate on the internet.
Yeah.
Just go to some design blogs. You'll have a better experience. I saw Hustlers from 2019. the, I guess, like somewhat surprise hit. I was kind of surprised the way that it kind of took over 2019. A lot of people talking good things about this, and I gotta say, they were pretty much right. I found this highly enjoyable, very entertaining movie
Mm-hmm.
for me. I don't know, it seemed to be one of those instances of just at the right time. It's just what I needed. You know what I mean? Just like it had the right energy to it, the right tempo, the editing style. They're I want to say con, but I don't know if it's really. I don't know if getting drugged, if you're really getting conned. I think just think you're being taken advantage of at that point. So it's
It's
not necessarily a con that they're doing. I mean, partially, I guess.
yeah, sort of. I mean, the lead up to the drugging is kind of where the con is.
Yeah, true. And then, I guess, and then they just kind of brute force it at a certain point. Like, you know what? We can just brute force
Yeah.
and we can get so much more. We'll just a huge puncture in the sidewall and just let everything come gushing out. And we'll make a lot more money this way. Which I did enjoy that build up because I was kind of wondering, like, because at first, their original con, which is I thought like kind of where it ended. I didn't know it escalated from there. I just kind of thought that was their thing that they're doing. And I'm like, well, they didn't do anything wrong. I don't understand. And then, okay, it escalates. And I still don't really think they did anything wrong. I mean, obviously it's illegal, but still just kind of like, that's a good idea.
I mean, they're all scumbags anyway, so nobody cares.
Yeah, I was like, this is great. And I was actually kind of surprised that the framework of this with the, this being based off of an article and how they kind of incorporated that into the movie with the journalist played by Julia Stiles, like interviewing. Like I thought that whole framework was going to be like irritating and wouldn't work. But I have to say, like, it didn't really bother me that much. I thought it was, for the most part, pretty well done. I found it to be lean and entertaining,
I 100% agree. I really enjoyed this. This was a huge surprise for me. This was one that, like, my wife saw it, said it was really good, and I heard other people saying that it was really good, and I waited till I think the very end of the year to watch it, and after I did, I was like, wow, like that really was a surprise. Really,
it was very fun.
I'm glad you liked it. That's Hustlers, so definitely check that out. The only thing I disagree with is everybody was giving Jennifer Lopez a lot of praise for her performance, and I didn't think it was anything amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she was good.
I thought she was fine. She was fine. So a lot of the movies that I saw this week were in preparation for this month's Saved by the 90s, so I won't really get into any of those. However, I did watch a movie that I noticed that you also watched, and I don't ever recall you talking about it on the show. This is Ned Rifle by Hal Hartley.
Oh yeah, you own Ned Rifle.
Yeah. My question is, this is the third entry in a trilogy. Did you did you see the other ones?
Absolutely not.
I didn't think so, because I thought on your review on your Letterboxd review it said that was your first Hal Hartley.
Yeah. No, I think that was something that I learned
after the fact,
watching it. Because I think there was a part of me that was like, I get the feeling that some of this stuff is like
I should know.
You should know.
Because it definitely is like you kind of need to see the other ones.
Well, I will say that I think for the most part it worked for me. Like
they do.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, they do kind of work standalone, but to really understand the context, you have to see the other ones.
I'm not going to, but because Ned Rifle wasn't good enough that I was like, oh, yeah, I want to go back and watch more of these.
I would actually recommend it just because it's such a weird trilogy. It's so bizarre. And we're gonna be talking about Henry Fool on this month's Saved by the 90s. And after watching Henry Fool, I was just like, I gotta see how the other two play out, like how this story plays out, because Henry Fool, which came out in 1997, is a pretty standard 90s New York indie movie. You know, if you're familiar with the indie boom of the 90s, like they all kind of had the same style. Like they felt almost like a precursor to mumblecore in a lot of ways. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just like that style. And like where was it going to go from here? And when you see the second one, Faye Grimm, which came out in 2006, which focuses on Parker Posey's character, that is so different and bizarre. You're just like, what where are they going here with this? It's I don't even want to talk about the plot of Faye Grimm because it is so far removed from the first one and even the third one that like I feel like you just have to sort of experience it. It's but overall I think that the trilogy it's worth a look. They're weird, man. Like the structure, the act, like the dialogue, the acting style, it's not typical.
Yeah.
And they're kind of unique. I did like Ned Rifle, but it's I think that they're certainly not for everyone, these movies.
Yeah.
And they're definitely rough around the edges too, I would say.
Well, maybe I will. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I can tell you that Faye Grimm it's not a comedy at all. It's an espionage thriller that spans multiple countries, including Turkey and Afghanistan and Paris.
Okay.
So,
All right.
if that intrigues you,
All right. Interesting. I watched a movie you watched. That's Greener Grass.
oh yeah,
I got around to Greener Grass. I had a very different experience than you. And I think this is another movie that the mileage may vary. Because
oh yeah, big
I,
time.
oh man, I did not like this. It felt like it was trying entirely too hard. And just a lot of it felt really flat for me. Now, early on, I was kind of into it, right? Kind of the whole setup and their world and everything. But I was thoroughly enjoying Julian Hilliard's performance. He's the kid that turns into a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And like his absurdity, just for whatever reason, like his delivery and him being, a little kid and everything, like it just really worked for me. And I was like, I like where this is going. I had forgotten that he turns into a dog. I know that you did tell me that, but I had forgotten until he turned into a dog. And I was like, oh yeah, Adam told me that. That's right. Damn it. And it was just like, out of all the characters in the movie that you had to turn into a dog to take away, their comedic performance, he would have been like on my untouchables list. Like whatever you do, just let this kid keep doing what he's doing. You can change one of these other people, these handful of people into a dog. That's fine. But no, they picked the one person that I was thoroughly enjoying in the movie. So then it just kind of nosedived from there because I missed him and him yelling at his mom that she's a school and that she has a bunch of clocks inside of her.
This is another movie that I feel like they didn't know how to end it.
No, it didn't. And interestingly though, is like it seemed to be going to this place where you're like, oh, okay, we're actually gonna like come to not necessarily a conclusion, but we're gonna like have this kind of like a small revelation or some like, oh, you actually had a message behind all this weirdness that you're doing that felt so nonsensical. And then it kind of didn't, and then just ended. It's just like, oh, all right. But and then the angle of like the Black Christmas angle with, I guess her name was Little Helen. I like that just didn't work for me at all.
That didn't necessarily work for me either, but I sort of just ignored that I did like the scene when she was the substitute yoga teacher and she brought in the TV and they watched Twister. Oh God.
That's the thing. Like it has its moments. Like it would. There's moments where it's funny. Like it's funny, but it just seems like I don't know. You know these movies that are like an hour and a half long of like, hey, we're setting up this framework and now we're just gonna do improv.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it's just like I can.
I can totally understand. I mean, I wasn't sure that this was something that would work from you from the beginning. Like, my wife saw this and hated it. My dad saw this and hated it. It's just something that it clicked for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I watched it twice, and I enjoyed it both times.
I did. I mean, I will give him props for like creating this like really robust world. Like the shows that they watch. Like I did, Kids with Knives. I like that idea.
Kids with Knives, and
I like how, yeah, like you built this whole like multi-layered universe. So I will give him props for that. But it didn't hit my funny bone like I was hoping it would.
mm-hmm. You didn't like Beck Bennett and his obsession with the pool water when he starts drinking the pool water?
No, I didn't. I just wanted him to shut up.
My favorite part was when they got in the argument and they showed him out in the pool pouting and drinking the water. Anyway, yeah, that's Greener Grass. I have a review for that up on the site, but it's it definitely seems like only a very specific number of people are going to really enjoy that movie.
But and an interesting thing that I found out, which I haven't watched it yet, but there is Greener Grass, the movie is on Hulu, by the way. You can watch it. But there's a Greener Grass short from 2015, directed by Paul Brignati, that stars, Jocelyn DeBoer and Don Webb. So, like, it existed in 2015 as a 15-minute short, and it looks like it's pretty much the same, going off of like so they just kind of built out from that. So I'm interested to see in the short, like, does it work better in like a 15-minute snippet? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, perhaps.
Like maybe it's like instead of expanding it out. I don't know.
I saw Paprika from 2006. This is directed by Satoshi Kon. Have you seen this movie? I don't see it on your...
No.
Oh my God, Kevin.
It's been on my watch list.
This movie, this is like, this is a must watch for you. Oh. It's basically... So Paprika is basically Inception. It's kind of the same idea as Inception, where they have there's this device that allows you to go into people's dreams and affect their dreams. And what happens is one of these devices gets stolen and a terrorist is using it to change people, control people, etc. And it is so good. I can't believe that I'm just now seeing it. It's been one of these movies that's sort of been on my periphery forever, and I just never got around to watching it. We talked about Perfect Blue on this show like multiple times. I think we reviewed it for Halloween this past Halloween, and I think I talked about it other times on the show. I love Perfect Blue. That's also directed by Satoshi Kon. He also did Tokyo Godfathers, which I also never saw, and I plan on rectifying that in the very near future. That was actually just re-released in theaters right before the COVID hit.
Yeah.
And he also did Paranoia Agent, which was a show that I absolutely loved back in the day. Which, by the way, that came back. They're re-airing that on Adult Swim now. So,
okay.
which is interesting. Highly recommend Paprika. It is just the right level of sort of crazy, creative, surreal imagery and sci-fi, and I absolutely freaking loved it. And the soundtrack is absolutely killer too. It's the same guy who did the music for Paranoia Agent. Remember that amazing intro to Paranoia Agent?
I remember absolutely nothing from Paranoia Agent.
You don't remember the intro where everybody's laughing and smiling over that song? Nope. Man.
No.
You should look that up on YouTube after this. Susumu Hirasawa is the composer. Amazing soundtrack. Must see. Paprika. Check it out. Okay, let's take a look at what we have on VOD this week. On the 23rd, we have Daddy Issues. That is a comedy, I think. We have Man-Child, the Sheo Cotton story. The basketball player? Probably know more about him than me.
Who?
Shea Cotton?
Shea Cotton, huh?
He's a Los Angeles hoops megastar.
I've never heard of him.
Interesting. All right. We have Aqua Slash. Your killer vacation awaits. I'm going to be checking this out. Looks campy and fun. We have Time Warp, the greatest cult films of all time, Volume 3, Comedy and Camp. I talked about this movie many moons ago, and the third entry is coming out this week.
It just seems like they should have all been released at the same time.
I agree.
The whole one.
Yeah.
Like, you're not... It's not that compelling to me that you need to space these out.
Yeah, they should have just put them all out at once. We have The Ghost of Peter Sellers. And then on the 24th, we have Athlete A. That's going to be on Netflix. Then on the 26th, we have Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. That's going to be on Netflix as well. That's the comedy with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, where they play an Icelandic singing duo who enters the Eurovision Song Contest. That's the next entry in a long line of quirky job movies that Will Ferrell has done over the years.
So after he moved on from the sports comedies.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Have you seen the trailer for this or heard anything about it?
No, I had no idea about this. It sounds like it could be funny, but I'm like 99% sure that it's not.
Yeah, I think that I did see the trailer for it, and the trailer is not funny, so I don't think it's going to be very good. I'll watch it just because it's on Netflix, and I'm always in the market for a good comedy. But
it seems like something that would work perfectly as a Funny or Die, like 8-minute video,
like a mockumentary.
Yeah,
that would probably work nicely. I don't think that's the case here, though. We'll see.
No.
Okay. Also on the 26th, we have My Spy. That's the Dave Bautista comedy. That was supposed to be in theaters, and Amazon is going to be releasing that. So that'll be on Amazon Prime. If you're a Prime member, you can give that a look. Okay. We have Irresistible. This is the Jon Stewart directed political comedy with Steve Carell. And I believe that is it for this week on VOD. Let's see what we have on Blu-ray. Okay, we have Dream Demon from 1988. That's coming out on Arrow. We have The Spider from 1958. The Last Valley from 1971. The Road to Wellville from 1994, starring Matthew Broderick. Remember that movie? Where he played...
Oh my God.
What was his name? Like John Kellogg? Can't remember the guy's name. John Harvey Kellogg, yeah.
Road to Wellville.
What a movie that was. Very, very strange. Got Corpus Christi. And Then We Danced. The Last Supper. The Vampire Conspiracy from 2005.
Oh, hell yeah.
Daddy Issues. Jasper Mall. That one's I actually enjoyed that. I think I saw that at Slam Dance this year. That's about it. What about Criterion's this week?
We have a contemporary pick with Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Uh-oh.
Which I gotta say, cover-wise,
Killer.
Perhaps one of the best covers they've ever produced.
Amazing.
Just incredible. Bunch of new interviews, conversations, all sorts of stuff on there. And then Tokyo Olympiad, which is Kanishikawa covering the 1964 Summer Games in Tokyo with a ton of cameras, just a ton of coverage.
Are you going to finally check out Portrait of a Lady on Fire because of this, or still?
I'm saying yes, because I do want to see it, but I've also been saying yes for like a year plus, and it hasn't happened.
I mean, for you, I would just say to temper your expectations. Like, I think this could be another Carol situation for you, because I know it was for me, where it was a movie that everybody loved, and I saw it and I'm just like, yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens in 2020.
It is worth a look. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't blown away with it like a lot of other people were.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a minute, consider reviewing us on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.